This will be an overview of Think Central Homework Lesson 3-9. In this lesson, we're more or less trying to figure out if the product of two factors will be greater or less than the highlighted factor. So, first thing I'd like to point out is when you multiply a number by a fraction, you're going to get a lesser number. So they're saying, is this answer x going to be greater or less than 3/4? So you have to look at what number you're multiplying it by. Since you're multiplying 3/4 by 3/5, and that is less than 1, your product is going to be less than 3/4, because if you take a part of a part, you end up with a smaller part. Now they ask us to actually find the answer, so it's numerator times numerator. 3 times 3 is 9, and denominator times denominator. 5 times 4 is 20. The answer is 9/20, and 9/20 is going to be less than 3/4. Second problem, exactly the same as the first, predicting the answer. You are multiplying 3/4 times 1 and 3/7. Is the product going to be greater, less than, or equal to 3/4? Well, this number here is greater than 1 whole, so your answer is also going to be greater. So the answer is going to be greater than 3/4. Now we need to find the actual product. First thing we're going to do is change this into an improper fraction. Parts times wholes plus parts. 7 times 1 plus 3 is 10, so this is 10/7, and we're going to multiply that by 3/4. I'm going to look for the slash here. I'm going to simplify 10 by dividing it by 2 to get 5, and simplify 4, dividing it by 2 to get 2. So you end up with 5 times 3, which is 15, and 7 times 2, which is 14. And that is an improper fraction, but that's going to convert to 1 and 1/14. So that is our product. 1 and 1/14 is going to be less than, is going to be greater than 3/4. Same problem, predicting, will the product be greater or less than 1.5? Well, so we have to look at what we're multiplying 1.5 by. We're multiplying 1.5 by 1 2/3, and that is greater than 1. So x is going to be greater than 1.5. Now we need to solve the problem by multiplying 1 2/3 times 1.5. I'm going to change those. I'm going to use the improper fraction method. I'm going to change those into, this is going to be 5/3, and this is going to be 5/4, and I multiply those across. There's no simplification. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 4 is 12. So how many times will 12 go into 25? It's going to go in 2 whole times, and there's going to be 1/12 left over, because 25 divided by 12 is 2 wholes with 1/12 left over. So our product is 2 1/12, and 2 1/12 is greater than 1.5. Predict whether the answer is going to be greater or less than 7. What are we multiplying 7 by? In this case, we're multiplying 7 by 2/2, which is the same as 1, because 2 over 2 is 1. So basically the answer is going to be equal to 7. We don't have to do really any math here. 2/2 times 7 wholes is going to equal 14/2, which is the same as 7. So the answer is 7. Going back to a long time ago, what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. We're looking for numbers that multiply the fraction 1/2 by a factor equal to 1. So factor equal to 1 is going to be 8/8. That is the same as 1. 2/1 is not the same as 1, so A doesn't work. 8/2 does not work. That's equal to 4. And 1/2 is not equal to 1. So the only one that's equal to 1 is B. 8/8 is the same as 1 whole. So B is our correct answer here. There's a rectangle. It has a length of 5 1/4 right here, and a width of 1 1/3. Is the area, this amount inside, is that going to be greater than 5 1/4? Well, you have to look, and what are we multiplying the 5 1/4 by? We're multiplying by a number greater than 1. So yes, the area will be greater than 5 1/4. Now we have to figure that out by multiplying 1 1/3 times 5 1/4. Let's use the improper fraction method. This turns into 4/3, and this turns into 21/4. I see a slash here. because 21 and 3 have a factor of 3. I can divide this by 3 to get 1, and this by 3 to get 7. And I see a double slash because I can divide this by 4 to get 1, and this by 4 to get 1. So I end up with 7 holes when I multiply across. So the answer is going to be 7 square feet. It's 4 4/5 miles from Justin's house to the art museum. And now there's another museum. It's called the History Museum, and that's 9/10 as far. So let's say we cut this into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts, and the History Museum is going to be right here. So I take 9/10 of 4 4/5. I'm going to use the improper fraction method, so that's 9/10 times 24/5. I look for a way to simplify. I can see this here. I can divide this by 2 to give me 5, and I can divide this by 2 to give me 12. So I multiply 9 times 12, and that's going to be 108. And 5 times 5 is 25. So now I have to figure out how many 108 25ths is. I know that 4 times 25 is 100. So 25 will go into 108 4 times, and there'll be 8 25ths left over. So the History Museum must be 4 8 25ths away from Justin's house.